So I don't care what nobody say. You can debate it all you want. I know some woman's gonna come in the comment section because y'all always do whenever I make a statement that y'all know is true, but y'all don't like it. But y'all can debate it all you want. But I'm gonna say this: being a single mom on a dating market is like being ex-con on a job market. It's just the same thing, bro. Like you have to understand the market, and you may not like it. You may not think it's fair because you're a different person now and you're making better choices and you know you could be productive and you can bring something to the table now and you can do this and you can do that. And people should look past that, but they're not going to. They're not going to. And they don't have to. Actions have consequences and we have to be honest about that. When you make a decision today, it's going to have an impact tomorrow. So women get out here and they get upset when men are trying to make, decisions about who they should deal with and who they shouldn't deal with, and they pick on certain types of groups and say, this is probably not a favorable situation, and women get mad because they're not picked. It's like, yo, you don't do crime if you don't want to do the time, and it doesn't have anything to do with you being a bad person. I say this all the time. Good people have done bad things throughout history, and bad people have done good things. But what you have done in the past will come back to haunt you in the future, especially if you're a repeat offender. If you're an ex-con with multiple stints, or if you're a single mom with multiple children, you are going to be judged for your decision making. And you have to be honest about that and be realistic and stop.
I've been saying for years that the only resume that men care about, uh, as it pertains to women, is their children, the behaviors of their children. And at this stage, I believe the market has shifted and flipped in such a way that the stepdaddy market is going to require women to pay for one. Because if they pay for daycare, they pay for food and everything else that it takes to sustain their regular life, at some point, if a man is on a woman's radar and she wants to be in a relationship with him and she already has some kids, and let's just say if he don't have any kids, or even if he does, at some point, men can really bring up the conversation of, well, what are you willing to pay to get one? Because if women been talking about using men for utility all this time and trying to get the bag, and it's been your body, your choice, right? Then it's got to be, at some points for men, it's got to be his wallet, his voice. And then the other accountability part in the my body, my choice conversation is complete the sentence: your body, your choice, your fault, period. Your responsibility also. So complete the sentence.
Stop trying to make it seem like, oh, you don't know what you're doing, trying to judge me. You should give me a chance. That's like, yeah, that's like saying that to an interviewer, and you know you got a record, and you telling him he missing out because you would be perfect for the job. Like, bro, I can't trust that you're gonna do the right thing. I can't trust that you make good decisions because these three things you've done before you came here show me that you did it. And I don't want to knock anybody because everybody has a past and everybody's done what they've done. I have a history too, but I'm realistic about how the world sees certain people in certain areas. And so when women come up here and have these standards that try to make it seem like everybody else is wrong and they're right and it's not fair and where have all the good men gone and all that stuff, like, bro, you got to be honest about it. You know what you did, and if you don't think that your decisions were going to have an effect.
The part where he says where have all, well, women complain about the lack of good men, or where are the good men? They're still there. You just don't qualify for them. Again, I always say your complaints are closely tied to what you can and cannot afford and what you qualify for. People that can get what they want don't have complaints and don't have questions. They go get it. And this is why I talk about rule number 5 so much: sexual discipline. Men must exercise sexual discipline to be seen as credible leaders and maximize their opportunities. So that's how it applies to men. And women should exercise sexual discipline for the same reason: to identify credible leaders, to identify men that will make them a wife and help them raise kids in a committed relationship to some degree. And everything works both ways until we start talking about single parenthood and raising kids, and then it never makes sense. But you can only have what you can afford, and it has nothing to do with money.
In fact, you played yourself, and that's just the truth. Nobody played you but you. You're the only one that made the decision to have kids. The man or men, whoever you were dealing with, did not make that decision for you. You made that decision. So now you have to deal with the consequences.
So, and the other thing to add is that women will say that men are promiscuous and all men cheat. Well, if all men cheat, then all women cheat. Because who do men cheating with? Okay. And then in addition to that, the pool of men that women try to group all men into is really only limited to the men that they have had sex with. Okay. You can't complain about the men that are married that didn't choose you. You can't complain about the 54% of men that are single and childless that are also in the middle class. And you can't complain about virgins. The only men that you can complain about is the pool of 16% of men that are single fathers that made yours, that participated in the procreation that made you the single mother. So now you got the 80% of women that have had children out of wedlock with 16% of men, which is quick math, 5-to-1 ratio. That means 5 women have reproduced with the same man. And all of those men and women are located in the same dating pool because they typically come from the same family structure, a single parent structure that is usually the most promiscuous and the least accountable for their sexual behavior. So for the women that say, where are all the good men? You haven't changed your behavior to attract them. And this is the dating pool that you created. And in fact, I would also say, and I always say this, if you take the single parents out of the dating pool, then it goes quiet. It goes quiet because if you take out the majority, 80% of women that I just described that are single parents, and the baby dad is out of the dating pool, then who's left?
Nobody else. But like I said, y'all can debate me all you want, but in the dating market, every kid out of wedlock or every baby daddy situation
Notice he said in the dating
is
pool.
a stint in jail. For every kid you got, that's the time you went to jail. So if you're a single mom with no, history of being married or anything like that, and you just out here tripping, you look like an ex-con when you're dealing with a guy, and he has to decide whether or not to give you that chance, to give you that job. And if he doesn't, don't blame him, blame you, because you gave yourself a bad resume.
Well, you heard him, folks. Leave it in the comments. Complaints, critiques, I don't care. But that's what the comments are for you. This has been another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Go get the book. And most importantly, I will see you beyond the algorithm, because that's where life actually happens. Later.